Hi everyone, it's Mary from Lulu's Time and Essentials. Welcome to part two, macrominerals and trace elements. So I talked a little bit about metabolism. Now I'm going to get into really what herbs and essentials are, vitamins and minerals, and describe a little bit about what they do. I've included just probably the very basic of what you need to know about metabolism, which is the chemical process our body goes through when it breaks down food. And to create energy, it's the breakdown of proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. What are minerals? Well, they're inorganic, non-protein, often found in rocks and soil. They make their way into the plants, obviously through the soil. They're often non-protein, and their job is to assist a biological chemical reaction. Oftentimes, you'll now start to hear the word cofactors again, and I'll review those. So they're also known as macronutrients or macrominerals. And if you break it down, it's the macrominerals and the trace elements. Most of the stuff in our store is geared towards either a specific system. They all have vitamins and minerals. It just depends on which ones are in each herb. And through their functions, it really is geared towards keeping all of our systems working right. So what do we know about minerals? They're organic. They're not broken down. I mean, you can break down the food and get to the base of the minerals, but they are not broken down any further than that. One thing that I do want to stress is, so when we go through, especially with metabolism, organic substances, they need carbon to move on. And those organic substances in the scheme of metabolism is proteins, carbohydrates, and fats. Minerals are categorized into the two groups, the macrominerals and the trace minerals. Electrolytes, I want to touch a little bit about electrolytes because they are extremely important. They are commonly sodium, potassium, chloride, and calcium, magnesium, phosphate, and bicarbonate. They carry an electric charge. Remember I talked about electrons? Um, they carry positive and or negative when they're dissolved in liquids, and that's what makes it an electrolyte. Some of the macro minerals are extremely important to the functioning like the electrolytes. This group of macro minerals, they help regulate most of any of your systems that have to do with some kind of conduction. So meaning your nervous system, your muscles. What's happening is fluid is being shifted in and out of your blood, your cells, and they help to maintain an acid-base balance in that water balance or fluid balance, if you want to call it. Another big thing to talk about is your kidneys. They also play a huge role in keeping the electrolyte concentrations, filtering out toxins, and electrolytes and water from your blood. So they have the ability to actually return some of the electrolytes to your blood, and they have the ability, obviously, to remove them because they basically filter out your blood. So, what are some of the macro minerals our bodies need? Calcium. Calcium is an electrolyte. It not only is important for your bones and your teeth, but it is, I think, even more important for your nervous system. What does it do? It's an electrolyte. It is stored in your bones and your teeth. It keeps your bones strong, but it's needed to send nerve impulses throughout your body. It can help your blood vessels, the rhythm of your heart, and it helps release some of the hormones and enzymes. So calcium often works in unison with vitamin D, and it is the most abundant mineral in our body. Where do you get it? Well, if you're not talking about herbs, milk, yogurt, and cheese are the best sources of calcium. Oftentimes, people, whether they're on a diet or have some kind of intolerance, aren't getting those. So, what I've included here is really the recommended daily intakes for different people. So, what herbs are high in calcium? Well, I've included some, and it's stuff that is probably it's in my cabinet. Dried basil, dried savory, which is a seasoning that is used to make what you call a savory flavor. Marjoram, sage, rosemary, thyme, and dill, celery seeds, cinnamon, cardamom. So these are stuff that is in most of your cabinets. So, you could take, if you want to take a meat, um, make a stew out of it, add these herbs, or if you want to bake them with these herbs, there's a ton of different ways to do it. I bet most of you have at least 3 of these herbs, maybe even 4, sitting in one of your cabinets. These are actually packed with some minerals in them. Chloride is another electrolyte. And again, electrolytes, they help balance your body's fluid pH. And they help deliver oxygen to your cells, keep your blood volume, your blood pressure, and prevent these fluid shifts in and out of your cells. They, in the end, will affect any of your systems that use electrical impulses, meaning muscles, nerves, and your heart. Where can you find them? You can find them in vegetables like tomatoes, lettuce, celery. So let me first say, if you forgot what a cofactor was, it's a molecule that acts as a catalyst for an enzyme during a reaction like metabolism. So some are obtained through vitamins, and inorganic cofactors are obtained through minerals. Magnesium, it is another electrolyte, and its importance is for nerve function, blood sugar levels, blood pressure, and in the production of protein, bone, and DNA. It is a cofactor for energy production. So here's some herbs that have magnesium in them. And I think pretty much everyone is familiar. And let me see, 1, 2, 3. I would think that there are probably at least 3 in most people's cabinets. And here's some that you may not be as familiar with. Magnesium is one of the minerals they carry. A lot of them carry a lot more, but that's a whole other class. That phosphorus or phosphate is another electrolyte, so it carries a charge when it's dissolved in water. It's primarily in your bones and teeth. It's in your genes. The role of it is production of energy in chemical processes that your bodies perform every day. One function impacts how your body uses carbohydrates and fats, metabolism. So these herbs containing phosphate or phosphorus, I think you're probably seeing that there are some herbs that have multiple minerals in them. Marjoram, thyme, nettle, burdock root, ginger root, spearmint, they all have phosphorus. And again, they also have a lot of other nutritional properties to them, nutrients, vitamins, and minerals. But as I said, that's another class. Potassium, again, another electrolyte. It manages your heart, kidney, and nerve function, how your muscles contract. So what does that mean? Well, your heart is actually a muscle as well. So as I said, the electrolytes in general will work on any system that needs action by impulses or movement, is what I like to call it. It moves nutrients into your cells. It removes waste out of your cells. Very, very important. Here's some herbs that contain potassium. Alfalfa, dandelion, sage, hops, nettle. That's an interesting one. Most people haven't heard of nettle. Again, that's another class. Sulfur is a mineral that comes from amino acids that are found in protein. Its function, again, very important. It has a role in making proteins, metabolizing food, building and repairing DNA, regulating something called gene expression, which is a process that a gene uses to assemble a protein molecule, and it plays a role in connective tissue and detoxifying your liver. It is thought to help with acne. It might have some antibacterial properties. It helps with hay fever and the common cold when you combine it with other agents. It has anti-inflammatory and antioxidant qualities. There is no recommended daily intake for sulfur. There's no standard dose. You pretty much always will take in enough sulfur if you're taking in enough protein. Where do you find it in foods? Garlic, onions, broccoli, most meats, seafoods, cheeses. So some products contain sulfur to increase their shelf life. Um, I have found that with herbs as well. That's one of the things that we actually research to see if that's added because um, we don't want it unless we need it. So here's some herbs that contain sulfur.